Okay, Sim Truck fans, this is Z-Man Trucker. On my continued trek across America, my last video brought me here to Hobbs, New Mexico, which is where I am right now. During my break, I drove my Kenworth back to Las Cruces, New Mexico, Las Cruces, which is where I have a garage. I don't have one here in Hobbs. There's not one available. To pick up my Freightliner, 2018 Freightliner Cascadia. And so this trip right now, this is my trailer and truck. I just want to mention something to you about some of the freight loads I didn't mention to bring up in my previous videos. There are four kinds of freight markets in this game, and that expanded with this version that I'm in right now, which is 1.32 whatever it is right now. Every other day it increases by another couple of points, and when that happens, they make changes. It sends my truck back to the last garage I was at, which is why I have this Cascadia rather than my Kenworth. It sent me back to Las Cruces anyway, because that's where my closest garage from Hobbs, New Mexico was. But as I said, there are four basic markets that you have in the game. First one is called it's a quick market, and basically what that is that you're just a driver and you're hired by a company who's got their own rig and got their own cargo, and they want you to drive that rig and that cargo to its location. The second one is a general or open freight market, which means you have your own cab and you can look for jobs from other companies and haul their trailers to a destination. Then you have World of Trucks, which is sort of an online thing. I haven't quite figured out how World of Trucks works. I don't do it that much. I don't get into World of Trucks that much because anything east of New Mexico doesn't cover the whole United States map. It only covers California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. So that's about the extent of World of Trucks. And then you have this new market, which because now that you can own your own trailer, you can select the loads that you want to haul in your own trailers. And this is one of several trailers I have. This is a dry 53-foot box trailer, obviously. And I have painted it the colors you see. I didn't buy it that way. I painted both the trailer and the truck, and I put on all the accessories and everything that I have in this truck. This particular truck right here, right off the hand, I can't tell you what powerhouse I have in here, but I can tell you that I'm pretty sure it's got an Eaton Fuller 13-speed with auto retarder in it. So I picked up my load. The truck is already loaded, and we're going to be heading to Childress, Texas. Now, I told you in previous videos that once you get east of New Mexico, the topography changes a little bit. The geography, not the geography, but topography. Because the concentration on SCS developers of American Truck Simulator are concentrating on the West Coast. So, as the four states I've already mentioned, Oregon is coming out pretty soon, I think within the next month or so. And they're fully developed as far as scenery and somewhat as accurate as they can make all the towns and cities and the landscape and all that stuff. So once you get east of New Mexico, like I'm going into Childress, Texas, Texas is not developed that much. There is some development by third-party developers who worked on parts of Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. basically the rest of the country until you get back to the West Coast. Like Oklahoma's got some stuff in it. Nebraska maybe has some stuff in it. So I can't tell you what the scenery is going to look like on this version because I haven't been east of New Mexico yet. So this is my first trip east of New Mexico on my way to Childress, Texas. All right, enough for the chit chat. Let's get inside and crank this bad boy up. Okay. Oh, they had this is I have apparently I had this set up for my head tracker, which I don't have turned on. I just turned it off, and I'm going to do my panning with the hat button on my throttle on my shifter control. So as much as I enjoy my tracker allows me to view around inside the truck without using that, it also has its limitations about how much I can see. So if I want to look all the way around like this, I can't do that with my tracker. Like if I'm backing up, you know, I can do it. I can't do that with the head tracker. It's not developed that far. But anyway, on that note, let me just open up my EDL, and I'm going to put an extra mirror up there. I'm going to tell you why I have this extra mirror up in the right-hand corner, which I'm going to install right now. I have to look out that mirror over there, and as you can see, not much you can see on there. And when you do that, you're taking your eyes off the road, and then you're drifting into other lanes. So it's nice to have that. My EDL is a game version of the EDL that's used, the truckers use, the electronic digital log. Mine's not quite as critical as the real one is because to me that's like Big Brother in the trucking world. But mine gives me just information about my route. It tells me, obviously, it tells me what gear I'm in at any time. It tells me how much fuel I got. It gives me the time of day. It shows my GPS on there. And it gives me other options, like if I break down, I can click on a button and I can have somebody come and a repair truck can come and fix things. It tells me the time in the time zone that I'm in. So it's on the game, it's Sunday 3:05 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. It shows that my trip to Childress is 192 miles, or 4 hours and 42 minutes game time, which translates 5 minutes real world time is an hour and a half game time. That's what I've figured out. I don't know how accurate that is, but for me and my driving habits in the game, that's what it actually comes out to. All right, so we're just going to close that for a second. Oop, I always put the wrong darn button when I do that. Let's get back inside, hit the right button, and well, I'll leave the smaller version of that one open, but let's get out of here and start heading to Texas. This is one long trailer, I'll tell you that, 53 foot. When I look out that back window, especially with that stupid parabolic mirror on the bottom, it makes this thing look like it's 100 miles long. But, alright, getting out on the highway is always a trip, so we're going to have to make a right-hand turn out of this yard. I've mentioned to you previously the yards are very confining, very small in the game. I don't know why they do that, especially when they give you vehicles that are, you know, the size they're supposed to be. Okay. Let's not stall out, Dave. Alright, so we'll see if we can get out on the road here without taking anybody out or get taken out. Like I said, I knew I was going to hit that. There's just not enough room to get out of here. That means I have to drift into the next freaking lane. I could have just made a left-hand turn out of here and done it that way, but let's see if we can get over this curb. Alright, let's just see how hung up we are here. Alright, yeah. Now don't blow your horn at me. Alright, let's check everything. I'll just go around the block. It's just a lot easier. Alright, don't stop in front of me, idiot. What a bonehead. Go, go, go. Okay, I know how to deal with it. I'll just push him out of the way. I could put my head tracker on and that would alleviate the problem here, but by the way, that was I believe that was a Walmart. We just picked this load up, and I think it's a bunch of a load of electronic stuff. So all right, let's get this. Left up here at Aaron's. Let's see if we can get out of here. This doesn't even have a stop sign. There's another one's going to stop in front of me. All right. Okay. What are you doing? Talking to my idiot cat. You'll know when we're out of New Mexico, when all of a sudden the landscape looks a little barren of stuff. So Hobbs, New Mexico is right on the border of New Mexico and Texas. So, and of course, Childress, Texas is in the Texas Panhandle, so already the Panhandle is a barren wasteland anyway. But we're all going to see what this looks like. I appreciate you riding shotgun with me on this. Like I said, I don't get into explaining people all the mechanics of the game, and I don't go out and have 18 zillion trucks just so I can show off all the different kind of trucks and stuff that are available. I just like to drive. All right, I have this trucking company that I created in the game. I have I have a couple of trucks and I have a couple of trailers, and I switch off with them. And so I have this Cascadia, I have the Kenworth W900B. I really don't know the difference between the 900B and the 900, but I have the 900B. And all right, so now apparently we're in Texas. You can see how differently the landscape looks already. Sort of barren, not very exciting. But like I said, third-party vendors have done some. It used to be worse than this before they did a little bit of tweaking on it. And but like I said, once I get into Mississippi, I'm not sure about Mississippi, but I think Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, you know. Okay, you got this guy pulling out in front of me here. Alright. I don't know if I'm liking this 13-speed transmission because it has no low end to it. It's got top end, but it has no low end to it. I generally drive 18-speed, Fullerton Eaton 18-speed with retarder, but for some reason or other, I can't get that in the Freightliner. I don't know how that is in the real world, but I cannot get an 18-speed for a Freightliner. At least not the Cascadia or the Columbia. And but I will probably eventually trade this in for a Kenworth T680 or T800 or something like that, and then I can have my 18-speed, and I can have my 625 horse. This is not a very gutsy truck. This is probably the Cascadia is probably one of the most popular you see in the real world. That most corporations, transport companies and stuff, you usually see a lot of Freightliners on the road. You see a lot of independent truckers. They like their conventional trucks, you know, like the 389 and the W900 and stuff like that. So. Yeah, all right, we're approaching Brownsfield, Texas right now. So it's not a very, very big town. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of trees around here to look at. But then again, we're in the Texas Panhandle, so I don't know how much you would see in the real world. I was stationed in Amarillo, Texas when I was in the Air Force back in the 60s. Now I just gave my age away. And I just remember the Texas Panhandle as being just a barren wasteland. We used to have a little joke when I was stationed at Amarillo Air Force Base that if a prisoner ever escaped from the stockade, they could stand on top of the damn building and shoot him 3 days later. So, yeah, that's how barren this the Texas Panhandle was back in the 60s. I don't know what it's like. I haven't been there since I got out of the Air Force. But this is Brownfield. I guess it's a one-horse town. So I've made this trek across America many times in previous versions. when they came out with version 131, that also did something to the map, because the map was, as I said, east of New Mexico was really bland before 131, and then 132 came out, and they, like I said, they tweaked a few more states, but you know, nothing fancy schmancy, you know, but it's better than total barrenness. Now we're coming up to we're 3 hours and excuse me, we're 3 hours and 14 minutes away from Childress. We are now coming on Lubbock, Texas. So this is Lubbock, Texas that we're approaching here. Speed limit's 65. California, I told you, is 55 across the state. Texas is generally 75, but we're in the boondoggles. So, but yet I can get a garage here in Lubbock, and so, which is interesting. In my previous versions, I used to make a lot of trips up to Amarillo for obvious reasons, and just passed by a recruiting center, which simply means that should I want to hire drivers, I can hire drivers, give them a truck and hire drivers. Almost took that guy out behind me. There's a Mustang in front of us, convertible. Here we have Mustangs and Camaros. No Camaro convertibles, just Mustang convertibles. But then who buys a sports car convertible? It's like buying a sports car with an automatic transmission. I don't know. I have a feeling this is about a 550 horsepower Cummins engine in here, or it could also be Detroit diesel. I'm not sure. It's got a much different sound to it than the Cummins anyway, but so it's 1:27 p.m. in the game, and we're still 2 hours and 50 minutes out. That's about probably less than 10 minutes real time. What the hell's with all these stoplights out here in the Panhandle? Okay. And one of the other problems with the unfinished part of the rest of the country is you can see portions like up ahead of us right here. I believe that's an overpass, and you see this artifacts of the parts that they didn't finish up. You can see that on my left and right. I don't know what those are supposed to be. I guess it's supposed to be hills or mountains or something like that. But they do cover all the major interstates and a lot of the side roads and stuff throughout the country. Apparently, it's a Google Map effort on this, so it's easy for them to fill in generic, generic stuff in between. Now we're coming up here on some landscape. So this is a part of Texas where they did some tweaking as we head east. I haven't done a whole lot of driving up in the Pennsylvania area and Ohio and Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, all those places. I haven't been up there yet because I'm just assuming that it's pretty much the same as it is for the rest of the U.S. once you get out of the Pacific West. And now I've got well over 3,900 hours invested. I don't know if that's real time or game time. I don't know. I just don't imagine myself having that much time invested in this game. But between this and flight simulation, and with all that time that I have invested in here, the 4 states. The game came, as I had mentioned previously, with California, Nevada, and Arizona. About a year and a half after I got involved in this game, they came out with New Mexico. And that's all they've developed. Now it's been another year and a half or so when they're developed in Oregon. And it's supposed to release this year, it says. Well, this year's running out. And but I said to myself, at the rate that they're completing the lower 48, I'll probably be about 160 years old by the time that happens. So I will never see all those updates to the rest of the continental United States. Or maybe they're not even going to develop the rest of it. They'll leave it to third-party vendors. I don't know. But after a time, I get sort of bored with just driving around out in the Pacific West. And so even though the landscape is barren here, I do like to head down to Florida. Florida's developed pretty good. Georgia and Alabama are developed pretty good. And parts of Mississippi or Louisiana or whatever. So somebody's made an effort on the East Coast. I think SES developers, should try to be fair to everybody, East and West Coast, and develop a little on the West Coast, develop a little on the East. Now here's some of that artifact I just mentioned to you right here. You see how I don't know if you can see that. Let me just. That's an artifact of something that's not complete yet. All right, so. See the cars floating like that. So, yeah. So, but I can get past that because I'm only there for a second, and there's stuff that is a little kinky. I've even had customers complaining that he's expecting his delivery pretty soon. Well, he's about an hour and 8 minutes. If I don't get this to the customer on time, I'll get a penalty. So what? Who cares? What are they going to do? They're going to put me in SCS jail or something like that? But we'll be there shortly. We're about an hour and 3 minutes out now, so we're talking about less than 5 minutes. You can see those artifacts out there, but like I said, I just ignore them and continue on until I get to the better parts of this trek. But hopefully somebody will make up their mind. And like I said, most of the mods, they're all freebie. A lot of people go into a great effort to make mods for this game as opposed to SES creates DLCs. And DLCs you have to pay for. I had to pay for New Mexico. I'll have to pay for Oregon if I want it. Sorry, I wasn't waiting for the stop sign. I got a delivery to make. And I give credit to those guys who do this for free, because this truck right here that I'm driving is not an SES developed product. It's made by a third-party vendor. It's not bad. It's not probably not 100% accurate, but it serves the fact that SES has license for 2 trucks in the game, and that's the Kenworth and Peterbilt, and a certain series of vehicles for each. You know, so it's nice that other developers, because there are a lot of other trucks out there. Some are really good. All right, we're now entering Childress. Some are real good, some are not so great. I downloaded a Freightliner Columbia that looked all right, except it had a lot of artifacts. Whoever had created the skin for it forgot to close out the basic portion of the template, and that shows through, bleeds through, and the interior really sucked. So, but all right, we're coming on to Childress, and hopefully I'm going to make this delivery on time. And then my next video will begin right here in Childress. And it looks like I can get a garage here in Childress. I see the icon for it. So I will be able to start from here. And if I want to change trucks, I can do that. All I have to do is wherever I put a garage, I can transfer trucks from wherever they're located in trailers and have them move to that location. It's like hiring somebody to drive your truck out to you. Okay, we're almost here at our delivery, and I'm just going to pull it. I'm not going to put you through the process of what it takes me to have to unload this truck. It involves going into a couple of windows and stuff like that. So this is the Best Buy we're going to. And this is Childress, New Mexico. I mean Texas, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll pull right in here, and then I'll end this video, and you can see how confining these yards are. For you to watch me to try to park this thing, you just don't pull up front and back it in. Most of the time I have to do it from a top down. This is what a top down looks like, you know. So there's not a whole lot of room in there, and anyway, let's just end this video right here, and we'll catch you on the flip-flop. I hope you catch me, as I don't know where my next one load is going to take me. Hopefully it's going to take me east, because that's where I'm heading. I'm trying to get down to Miami, Florida. So that's it for this video, guys, and thanks for riding along with me. Till the next time.